Have Catherine Dill on the line. Catherine, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, well, it's just, let's face it, you guys had one heck of a victory today. So, I really think it's awesome that you're taking time out of your celebration to spend a few minutes explaining to us what happened.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was very unexpected. So I'm pretty excited. I mean, we knew that there were a few different things that could possibly happen today. Like I sat down with our lawyer last week, and he told us all the various things that could potentially happen today, and I just didn't even realize that was something that could happen at the status hearing, was that all the charges could be dropped. So obviously we're very excited. Yeah.
See, I was confused as well because I didn't think that they were going to be dropping the charges. I was expecting, I was supposed to make it down there, but I couldn't do it. I ended up having an appointment that I couldn't get out of. So then, I go to check Eddie Free's Facebook page, and he's like, "Oh yeah, the charges have been dropped." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like I thought
that's exactly what I thought.
So how did it happen?
Well, I mean, the last time that we were in court, we were asked to give a urine sample, and we said no. And basically, the lawyers that I talked to, there already are, case precedents out there where, it's been ruled unconstitutional for as just a protocol for the judge to ask for a urine sample, especially for something that doesn't even have anything to do with drugs.
Yeah, I mean, that in itself is a crazy concept. I think
they really didn't want the constitutionality of that questioned. And I think that they could tell that we were literally going to, take this as far as it went. I mean, I didn't care. I mean, not that I didn't care, but I mean, I would have rather sat in jail for 6 months than submit to a urine test.
And that's just it as well. It is unconstitutional what they're doing, and right now, I guarantee you they're making a nice large chunk of change off of having everyone that goes through the system submit to a urine test.
Yeah, so they can't have that, questioned or brought into, speculation or like they can't really risk having that process be found,
they would lose a lot of income,
removed, and have that not be protocol anymore, because I'm sure that they make so much money from it.
Yeah, they would lose so much income. Not to mention, I'm sure they keep people tied up in the system for years upon years upon years, like just because of it. But so, can I ask? I know that you guys had trouble for a while finding a lawyer. When did you actually get a lawyer for the case?
Well, last week.
Wow.
Because the thing of it is that actually the time between our first court appearance and the status hearing was only 20 days. So in the court world, that's really pretty soon. So we had to do the whole lawyer hunt and everything else at a very fast pace. So even with us starting to look right away, it still took us until last week to actually find someone, and it was Jeff White. He was sympathetic to the cause and whatnot. So that was really nice to have a lawyer who supported what we did, because there were a few lawyers that we talked to, and they were telling us just how much simpler our lives would be if we just submitted to the urine sample.
Yeah.
But Jeff Light was like, he was like, "Oh yeah, I tell all my activist clients to not submit to the urine sample."
And you see, that's great.
Okay.
But and when it happened, it was such a surprise to you guys that they were going to spring that on you. You guys had no way of knowing that.
Right.
It was just
right. It was
really unexpected.
It was very strange, because actually my sister had gone to jail for not jail, but my sister was arrested several years ago, but it was for something involving prescription drugs, and she didn't even have to submit to a urine sample when she went to court. And so I mean that's also in Texas, and they're a bit more free than we are in D.C.
Yeah, that's true.
But still, it was just very strange because I mean our case obviously has nothing to do with drugs.
Yeah, well,
so that's just it's not even a violation of our Fourth Amendment, but also the Fifth Amendment right of self-incrimination.
Yeah, that's true as well. That's true. I didn't even take it to that point because I was so busy yelling about the Fourth.
I know, right? No, I didn't think of it either. It was actually William Olson that told me that. He's a constitutional lawyer, and I didn't even think of that until he had mentioned that one. But there were actually a couple cases, Berry versus D.C. and Oliver versus the United States. That was the D.C. Court of Appeals in 1996, and in both of those cases, the urinalysis was found unconstitutional. So that was in D.C. court. So I mean, they already had a precedent where it was. They said that it wasn't right to do that.
Yeah.
But I guess, I mean, everyone that went before us, the judge would just tell them to take a urine sample, and they'd be like, okay, and we were sitting there like, what? So I mean, people just go along with it.
Yeah, they just don't question the system.
Yeah, they don't question it, and then that's how our rights and liberties end up getting taken away.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of times it's easier for people to simply go with the flow instead of making any kind of noise or any kind of fuss, and that's what happens. They sit there and they don't even realize it, and they just lose so many rights that by the time they are ready to make some kind of fuss, it's too late. So by the time that they're ready to start standing up, because they realize that they're starting to lose way too many freedoms, by the time they're at that point, it's too late. And there were so many people that were saying, well, they could just give away the lemonade, and it's like, well, that's not the point of it, is it? I mean, do you want your child to be able to have a lemonade stand without having it shut down because they don't have a permit?
Right, and that's exactly what we said. Like, that's the reason why we charged 10 cents, because we didn't want to give it away. We wanted to show how ridiculous the law is by saying, look, we're charging money. It's not free. We're charging.
Yeah, and all those
kids. There was even at one point where one of the officers, he goes, you guys can give the lemonade away, but you can't sell it. And at that point, I think Meg was like, the cost is 10 cents. And then I was like, the cost is 10 cents. So we made sure to let everyone know that we were definitely selling it and that we are not giving it away. It actually costs 10 cents. Then you have to pay 10 cents.
Yeah, like I saw video footage of one of the cops, and he's like, they want to just give you the lemonade. And it's like, look, it's not that I don't want to give thirsty children lemonade. It's that there's an actual reason why we showed up here. There's a reason why we're all here today, risking your force and your SWAT team, just a few people with some lemons against a SWAT team. There's a reason why we're all here.
Oh.
So it's like they don't understand this concept of the philosophy behind your actions. So you went in today, and how quickly were the charges dropped?
We saw that the charges were dropped right when we came in to the downstairs cafeteria. One of the court-appointed lawyers from our first court appearance walked in and just mentioned to Will that he heard that the case was dropped, that they were going to drop the case.
Wow.
And then when we went in there to have our case called, the judge called us up and said, that the charges were dropped and we're all free to go.
Did the judge say anything about the fact that you had to be there in the first place? Because I saw reports I saw a Daily Caller piece, and it was like, oh, well, this was a different judge, and this judge was much nicer. Like, was this judge even I'm sorry that you guys had to deal with so much hassle for just selling lemonade?
No, I think that he was. I mean, he actually seemed kind of sympathetic. Like I think that he liked us and he was happy to give us that verdict. I mean, he seemed pretty happy about the same thing, just from speculation. That's how he seemed. But no, he didn't say anything like that. I don't even know if he was too familiar with the case. I'm pretty sure he knew that we were activists, but I don't know exactly where he stood on that. But I know that the last judge that we had wasn't too sympathetic, and she did not seem to be too pleased when we objected to the terms of release.
Well, it's just, I'm getting comments from all over the internet, people telling me this never should have happened in the first place. I mean, seriously, and the worst part is that what happens when this happens to someone and they're not willing to fight it, and they're just willing to give up their rights for because they're scared of the system. I mean, they call this the justice system. I don't understand how this is justice.
No, it really is very scary. I mean, I was there, with my, with a support system, and even with that, it was still very intimidating and very scary. And it's just, I mean, they're sitting there threatening you, like, we're going to give you 6 months for selling lemonade, and then 6 more months for contempt of court, and when you're thinking about it, it's very easy to just let them, strong arm you, because, I mean, it's just so easy.
It's so much easier to imagine. I mean? It's so much easier to imagine staying out of jail and working your job so that you can pay off these fines, as opposed to spending up to a year inside this scary place that you've always been told is really intimidating, and all these horrible things happen. It's so much easier to just, all right, you know what? Okay, fine. I'm just going to pay you the money that you want, and I'm going to go through the added stuff that you want, because I don't want to end up in a cage.
Right. It really is. Force. It really is like violence. That's a threat of a gun.
Yeah.
It really is. That really is what it boils down to.
Yeah, and I think you can point to that better than anyone right now. Hey, you know what? I think I got started on this segment a little bit late, and I have the break coming up. Can you stick around for just a minute through the break so I can ask you a few more questions?
Yeah, sure.
All right, thanks, Catherine. The Angel Clark Show will return in just a moment. RadioFreedom.us.